Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Thelma. Yesterday, I was talking to a few people, and we're talking about character and some very important traits to have if you want to be a person with a great character, with a champion character, right? And one of the things that we talked about was humility, and subsequently, that topic became a deeper topic of a deeper conversation. And one of the things that came to my attention while we were discussing the word humility is that a lot of times people think that humility is something that you can, something that you can switch on automatically, or something that you can just turn on when you think it's applicable. But in our discussions, I came to realize that humility is more of a it's more of a it's an internal thing. It's something that it's not something that we can necessarily control by ourselves. It's something that you can desire. It's something you can work towards. But ultimately, there is a higher being, that we are connected to. And when you want to be a person who has a humble personality, or when you want to be someone with great humility, you have to submit yourself to a higher authority than yourself, and not just a higher authority in terms of your leadership around you, your physical leadership around you, but in spirit you have to be humble in order to exhibit the trait of humility. And why is it important to be humble? Why is it important to have that trait of humility? I was talking about David yesterday, King David. Everybody knows the story of King David, whether you're a Christian or not. A lot of people do know about the story of King David. And it occurred to me, the Bible said that David was a man after God's own heart. Even though this guy did some really terrible things, God still loved him. And I recall very vividly the story of how he was actually anointed long before he became king, when he was still a young boy in the field, shepherding his father's sheep. When Samuel came to the home of David's father, Jesse, and said, "Hey, God has sent me here to, anoint one of your sons to be the next king," Jesse brought out the oldest son, and the Bible described him as being, his appearance as being handsome and, basically attractive. And God said, "No, this is not the person that I've chosen. That you are looking at the outside of the man. I'm looking at the inside of the man." Basically, God was saying he doesn't look at the outside of the man to judge man. He looks at the inside. Now, there was something attractive about the first son, Eliab, on the surface, right? But God still rejected him and said, keep bringing them out until David was brought out to him. Now, even in that story, the Bible described David as good looking, described him as really healthy, good looking young man, right? But more than anything, God was more interested in his heart. In the heart that he had, there was something more attractive about him on the inside than on the outside that attracted God to him. And it occurred to me that that is something that we all really want to aspire to have, no matter how attractive you think you are on the outside. In the long run, eventually people will run away from you if that attractiveness or that approachability is not something that is coming from the inside. And I believe that humility is a very significant part of that attractiveness that comes from the inside. Because if you go further through the story of David, there was a part in the story where King Saul was looking for him to kill him, right? And I'm just using this as illustrations. You can think about things that are more closer to home, like your place of work or your family and places like that, and apply this concept to that as well. When King Saul was looking for him to destroy him, to kill him, somehow Saul found himself in a cave, and his men were like, "Oh, that's a cave, let's go and rest in there." What they didn't know was that David was in that cave with his own men, because David had been hiding from King Saul. And so King Saul went into that cave to go and rest. And when David's men realized King Saul was in the cave, they went to David and said, "Hey, God has delivered this man into your hand. This man that has been looking for you to kill you, he has delivered him into your hands. Why don't you go and kill him now?" And David had an opportunity to kill him, but he did not. He cut out a piece of his cloth And he left him to sleep. Even the cutting of the piece of the cloth, he still felt remorse on the inside when he did that. But in the morning, when Saul was about to leave the cave, he called out to Saul. And do you know how he addressed him? He said, "My Lord, my King." And then he further down in that conversation, he addressed him as my father. That part of that story, you know, I've heard about it, I've read about it so many times, but in discussing it yesterday, a part of that story stood out to me significantly, and it was the humility of this young man. This is a man that was looking for him to tear him down, to kill him, that had been trying several times to kill him, even though David had done nothing wrong to King Saul. You know, but even in the midst of knowing that this man was looking for him to destroy him and kill him, even in the midst of all of that, David spared his life. And not only did he spare his life, he still referred to him in submission. He still addressed him as someone who was an authority over him. And why am I bringing this story, and how can you apply that to your everyday life? Think about those people, especially the so-called leadership. You know, sometimes your parents, sometimes it could be your boss at work, sometimes it could be your friends or your partner in business, sometimes it could just be people that feel that they have, or people that do have a position of authority over you. And sometimes they do certain things you don't like. But guess what? It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. There's a reason why that person is the head over you. It's kind of like sometimes when I listen to people talk about the president of this country or the president of any country. You know, now sometimes, you know, these people are not perfect people and they have their flaws and whatnot. You know, but when somebody is in a position of leadership over you, it doesn't matter what your sentiments are. You still have to address them with respect. You still have to present yourself to them with humility. And that is a quality that comes from the inside. It's something that comes from the inside, and it's something that is very attractive to man, to God, to anybody that is going to ever be involved in helping you fulfill your goal in life, in helping you be successful in life. If you do not think, or if people around you have said that you lack that quality of humility, then my friend, I strongly encourage you to, you know, go and think about it and search within yourself, you know, that quality that makes you always want to criticize people, that quality that makes you think that you know it all, that quality that makes you not listen to counsel, you know. It's in our daily life, there's so many ways that we exhibit that behavior of that lack of humility, you know, and it comes out in different ways. You may not see it, you may not know how it's been coming out in your life, but trust and believe that it is an ugly, it's not a beautiful fragrance. It's an odor that will, you know, repel people from you. It's a smell that will repel people from you, and it's not something that you want to have. So if you feel that, you know, there are certain areas of your life where you need to check yourself and learn to be a little more humble, you know, maybe this message will help somebody out there. Trust and believe it's something that I've been working on myself. And I believe I've said that in one of my previous blogs when I was talking about having a positive or attractive personality. You know, you cannot have a positive or attractive personality if you lack humility. It doesn't matter how far you've gone in life. It doesn't matter how successful you are in life. You know, you still have to have some level of humility over certain, within, you know, certain dimensions in your life, whether it is to your husband or to your spouse, whether it is to your colleagues or to your friends. There are certain times when your lack of humility can repel people from you instead of attracting people to you, and it can destroy your destiny, or it can prevent you from being successful in life. So I hope this message has been inspirational to somebody. Trust and believe that discussion yesterday was a real eye-opener for me, and I thought I should share that with everybody. I love you guys. If you have any comments to share, please share that in this blog or in the comments below this video. And of course, as always, please share this video with your family and friends if you feel that there's someone that can benefit from it. Thank you and have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.